A package has arrived. I was waiting for it with bated breath, but I was ultimately disappointed. But I had already planned a double episode, so let's do this! While Kota's growth from, as one of my fans said, a Beat Rider to a real Kamen Rider has been nothing short of awesome to see, there's never light without darkness, and know what's more interesting than a great villain? See a person descend into villainy like it happened to Michan and arguably to Kaito. I say arguably because he has never been the most likable of people, but he showed that he cares about others from time to time. It's only recently that he started alienating them all. Michan instead? Michan has gone full dark side on us. He began as a character that wanted freedom and to protect his friends. Now he wants control and to possess his love interest. He's now the exact opposite of what he wanted to become. Kaito still has a way to go before becoming an actual threat to Kota, mostly in terms of power, but Michan has always relied more on his brains, so will he go past that threshold anytime soon? Let's find out. Last time we ended it on a somber note, with Kota getting backed into a corner by Mai, who wants to talk to him, because he's been acting weird, and Kota, oh so smooth tries at avoiding the talk, fail miserably. Suddenly developing psychic powers, out of all the reasons Kota could be troubled for, Mai manages to understand that it has something to do with Yuya. Under the pressure, Kota confesses everything, their friend turned into an abyss, and Kota killed him. Mai then surprises us all by not even contemplating blaming Kota. On the contrary, she understands that he's been suffering terribly for it and tries to comfort him and reassure him. Pairing the two of them is still bullshit, because they don't have that kind of chemistry, but they do look like great friends. Again, it's like they're siblings. Kota is the older brother, Mai is the younger sister. We then move to a scene where Takatora is reporting to someone that the mass production of Sengoku drivers has almost reached 1 billion, which means that now they can start killing all the others. But he doesn't seem that happy about it. He brushes off Michan's try at comforting him by telling that people with special talents have the responsibility to stay in their hands at time, and sooner or later that will also be true for Michan. Ominous foreshadowing match? And the reason for it may come sooner rather than later. In the next scene we find out that Kota told Mai everything, as she's in turn recounting the tale to the rest of their allies, and Solid Grape is none too happy about it. Kota is instead very happy about not having to shoulder this burden alone anymore, or maybe he's happy that we finally learn Bartender's girl's name, Iyo-chan! But trouble is brewing. Michan crashes the gathering Mei organized to tell people the truth with a bunch of imbeciles, endangering a lot of people and worsening their reputation again. Fortunately, Shaki had a Han Solo moment beforehand and Kota arrives soon enough. After dispatching the imbeciles though, Michan turns on to him, blaming him for everything and finally revealing his true colors, but Mai silences him with a really not convincing slap, which causes his windows to go blue screen of death. Back at Yggdrasil, Ryoma wants to get rid of Kaito because he's not strong enough to give him further data on the overlords, but Minato for some reason persuades him otherwise. And while they're thinking of a way to locate the overlords, Darth Sweater arrives with a plan ready for them, providing that they follow it to the ladder if they decide to accept his help. Moving to Kaito, we see Minato bringing him a Genesis driver for him to use, but the exchange happens under the eyes of Zack, who confronts his past leader, and the Walnut Rider is forced to realize that his old friend is a premium asshole who plans to backstab everything and everyone. Back in Helheim, we see that Michan is accompanying Kota to find the overlords, and everything here just screams, "It's a trap!" After making Kota track the overlords, he makes Maruka attack him to rid himself of all suspicions, and then entertain Kota while Kaito confronts Kaen, which means 2 cool fights for the price of 1 episode. The one between Kota and Minato goes as foreseen. Minato is stronger than Sid, but Kota is able to match her move for move now, and when he pulls out the triumphant arms, well, the prodigy had it right. Kota then tries to help Mechan, but the Grape Rider convinces him to go after the Overlords, and then decides that he's going to be the one to take care of Kota. And speaking of Kaito, he has received the Lemon Lock Seed alongside the Genesis driver. This makes him able to actually put up a fight against Kaen, and actually injure him so bad that he starts speaking Japanese in his anger. And after Kota uselessly tries to make them stop fighting, the Green Bishop arrives and makes Kaen retreat, strangely enough. And in the last scene, while Kaito and Kota are bickering about the best course of action to take regarding the Overlords, Michan arrives, and he takes this opening to strike Kota in the back while he's completely unprotected! Oh no, is this the end for him? Let's find out right away! Kota is unconscious and completely defenseless, and all Mechan has to do is finish him off. But as you can probably guess, for all his defects, Kaito hates sneaky stuff like this, and opens up a can of whoop pass on the traitor! And then leaves Kota in a tree. I guess it couldn't be too nice, or his Asshole of the Year title will get revoked. And speaking of assholes, we're then gifted with a scene of Takatora showering, which is thankfully only a way to show us the scar on his right shoulder. Thanks to the magic of flashback, we find that Takatora isn't only the president, but he was also the first Gaim pick for the Sengoku drivers, back when they weren't exactly safe, to the point that he almost died when he got that scar. Also, we find that at the beginning, Ryoma wasn't this evil. Hell, at the beginning, he wanted the project to focus more on getting stronger drivers out first rather than mass production, because he wanted Takatora to be the one to get to the forbidden fruit. But Takatora insisted otherwise, wanting to save as many lives as possible, not really caring who ruled who afterwards. This put the two at odds, and that's why Ryoma decided to pick up himself the opportunity his boss threw away. Returning to the forest, we see Kota confirm that, indeed, with a driver on and plenty of fruit to go around, no dying of hunger anytime soon in Helheim, but then a figure in the fog appears. Oh my god, it's Oren! Apparently he's lost and he doesn't know how to get out of the forest, even though he has to know since they explained to him how lock vehicles work, because, you know, he took part in the fucking Christmas Lockseed hunt. He shows himself to be more intelligent than Kota or Yuya upon their first visit to Helheim, because he realizes that eating unknown fruits, no matter how hungry you are, is a really bad idea. After what I must admit is a fun moment between Oren and Kota, we cut to Kaen, who's now attacking Yggdrasil personnel while looking for Kaito and making sure to work on the Fox Kurokages. The Green Bishop tries to dissuade him and he keeps mentioning someone or something called Roshuo. Kaen ignores him, leaving him alone with a fallen Yggdrasil soldier, and now the verdant overlord has gotten his hands on a Sengoku driver. This doesn't bode well. Takatora gets notified of the situation and runs to his men's help, while Kota and Oren reach the artificial crack just in time to see Yggdrasil's camp getting attacked. After another funny joke, "Onigiri arms, everyone!" Takatora arrives first, and he gets exposed to the existence of the Overlords by meeting Kaen, who then proceeds to bitch slap him around, until Kota and Oren intervene. After yet another botched try at talking to the Overlord, we get two pieces of exposition out of the way. First, Kaen has no intention of helping humans survive whatsoever. Second, the name of Helheim's original race was Linif. And more importantly, now Takatora is presented with a chance of survival for humanity that doesn't involve sacrificing most of it, and he jumps on it. Tag Team Riders for the win! After a cool fight scene where Kota and Takatora actually seem about to be taking the upper hand trying to subdue the Overlord, Kaen proves them otherwise, and Oren takes the opportunity to take a hit for Takatora and faint away in his arms. Ew. But before the battle can be joined again, we're introduced to a third Overlord, which is the aforementioned Roshuo. The new guy forces Kaen to retreat even if he is miles away, and as such, I christen him the White King. Takatora and Kota run after a Kaen, with Oren getting dispatched quite rudely for an injured person, and the circle of evil back at home sees their plans crumble before them now that Takatora knows of the overlords, or better, now that he is on first name terms with Kota and actually thanking him for finding another possible way of saving humanity, which of course forces the tree's hand again. Sid appears and attacks Kota, forcing the two new allies to separate and keeping him from spilling more hints to Takatora about what they've been doing behind his back. This gives Ryoma enough respite to come up with a plan to get rid of his boss once and for all. Two very good episodes, one after the other. In the first, it was very nice to see Michan finally get past the point of no return, bringing his downward spiral to a close. In the second, it was nice seeing a bit of light shining for Kaito and Takatora. Kaito has that whole bash the code thing going for him, which makes him, if still a selfish asshole, an asshole that you can't trust to have your back if you're pushed into a situation where you're forced to give him that trust. As for Takatora, I've always thought of him as just a very bad villain, incompetent at his job, but lately I've been understanding, and this episode cements it, that was exactly the point. Takatora is more similar to Kota than anyone else in this series. He doesn't feel well in the role of the villain, of making the choices of who lives and who dies. It's a suit that doesn't fit him, and it shows in how easily his trust is abused, just like Kota. The only reason why he went with that role is because he thought it was the only way. Now that he knows about another possibility, he's actually grateful for it. I just hope that he doesn't die before getting to kick some ass alongside Kota. The lines are being drawn further and further, the factions for the final battle taking wonderful shape, and I can't wait to see that. That's all for this double episode, Rider fans, and I know that I owe you an explanation as to what the hell this package did to make me so not amused. There's a scene after the credits for that. Jana!